Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with my November reads. So just quickly, I'll just go through what I start with at the beginning. So I stamp out a little book for each book that I read, and then I put the number that it's at. So for example, this month I started at book 107. So I had read 106 books as of the end of October. So 107 till 112, 113. So I get those ready right off the bat. I have some of these little rub-ons that I put for the number of the book. Then I print all, I go on Goodreads, I find the book that I read, I take a picture of it, and then I bring it into my app that I use on my iPhone. And then I print 2 photos per 4x6, and then I cut them out, and it fits perfectly on a 3x4 card. Then I choose a kit, a Project Life kit that I'm going to use that month. I don't go from Project Life kit to Project Life kit. I take one Project Life kit for the specific month and I just find some cards that I like with the photos. So then I go through the photos, find some cards that kind of coordinate with the photo. I do all that at once too. Once I find a card for each photo, or 2 cards, one to mat the photo, one to journal about the book, then I glue all the pictures on, and then I put the numbers that I already have and I stick them on the photo. And in my mini album, the books are in the order that I finished them this year. So that'll be another fun fact because it'll be all in the order that I actually read them. I took 2 extra cards. One of them I put November TBR on it, and then the other one says a few of the details, and that's where I'm going to put my monthly TBR. Now, a lot of times my TBR is way longer than I actually read because, we always want to read more than we actually can do. But the other thing is this month I read 7 books, but four books out of the 7 were 500 and plus pages books. So I read a lot of big books this month. So that's probably why, like last month I had 13 books that I read. This month only 7, but I think it had to do with the fact that a lot of the books that I was reading were over 500 pages, and some of these were by a lot. Let's start with the first one. The first book I finished in November was Speak by Lori Walsh something. I can't see the author on the book. It's too small. And this one I gave it 3.75. It's about a girl. Her name is Melinda. And she ends up calling the police at a party at the end of the school year. And nobody knows why. And she becomes sort of a social pariah. Like nobody wants to hang out with her anymore because, you wreck the party and that kind of stuff. So this is the beginning of the year and everything that she has to go through, and then we actually find out what happened at the party. It was a really good read. Like I said, almost 4 stars. It was really hard to read from it. And at the beginning of the book, there was actual cases of kids writing into the authors. But it was a good read. I enjoyed the book. The second book that I read was Leanne Moriarty, What Alice Forgot. And this is about a woman that wakes up in the gym. She had a fall, but she doesn't remember that. And the only thing she can remember is 10 years before, when she was in love with her husband. They were just, had a family, young family, and everything was going great. And now she, 10 years later, and she finds out that she's getting a divorce and all this stuff. So it was a really good book. I gave that book 5 stars. Leanne Moriarty is quickly becoming, an author that I know that when I read her books, I'm going to enjoy it. It was really good. This next book that I read was by Christina Lauren, which is 2 authors, Dating You, Hating You. And this is about 2 firms that one ends up buying the other firm, and then sort of the merge, and a guy and a girl that they were working with other firms, and they thought, they just started dating. It'll be okay because we're not in the same firm. They end up being in the same firm and they're actually competing for the same job, and it's just them navigating, their relationship and their jobs. And I really enjoyed it. It was 4 stars for me. Then the next book is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, which is like book 6, plus there's a novella. In the Throne of Glass series, this one was 5 stars. This one was all about kale, and it has the same time span, I guess, as Empire Storm, except it's from Kale's point of view while this other stuff was going on, and I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, 5 stars. Then the next book I read was The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee, and this was the second book in the Guides series or duology, and this one mostly focused on Felicity, which is the sister. And I enjoyed it. It was almost a 4-star for me. The only thing is they made it sound like, petticoats and piracy. So it was going to be mostly on a boat, which I love pirates books, and it wasn't. So I think that's why I couldn't give it a full 4-star or 4.5 star, because it wasn't, in on ships, and it was a little bit, but not enough for what I was expecting. Then the next book was Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Dark Artifices series, and that was 5 stars. And all I can say is I am so glad that I waited this long to read that book, because I only have to wait a couple of weeks and I'm going to have the finale of that trilogy. Now, the last book that I read for the month of November is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and I loved that book. That was a 4.5 star for me. It was, every time I heard people talk about it, they say, oh, it's about a kid that her dad gets into like a political thing and it wrecks her summer and she has to walk some dogs. It is so much more than that. Give me a book where you talk about friend dynamics, family dynamics, and like a character-based story. I absolutely love, and that's exactly what this was. It wasn't, that was part of the story, her dad and all that stuff, but it was so much more. I absolutely loved it. And then the love interest in this, he was a fantasy book writer, and I'm like, I wish I could read the book that he wrote. I loved that book. So that's all the books that I read. So I'll tell you, The Unexpected Everything was about 515 pages. The Lord of Shadows, I think, was over 700 pages. The Lady Guides to Petticoat and Piracy was about 520 pages. Tower of Dawn was about almost 700. What Alice Forgot, I don't think it was 500 pages, but it was like 484. So I read a lot of bigger books this month, and plus I'm in the middle of 3 more that I'll finish in December, but I still read quite a bit of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I'm at about 400 pages, so about 60 or 70% through that. I'm also in the middle of I Hate Everyone But You. I'm only at about 60 pages in that, 50, 60 pages. And then I also started reading another book by Frederick Bachman, Something My Grandmother Sends You Her Apologies. And I'm only at about 4% in that book. And as you can tell, I like doing everything in batches. So I did the books, and then I found the cards that I wanted. I glued everything down. Then I did all the embellishments for all the cards. And then I stamped all the 5 stars on each card, and then I, when I was done all the embellishment, then I took markers and filled out the star rating for each book, and now I'm doing the journaling for each of the book. And I like to do everything like that in a sequence. The first few months I was doing 1 book at a time, and it was taking me like 3 hours to get the number of books that I read in a month. And now I can spit that out or get it in my album within about 45 minutes. So that's really good. I mean, it's not that we're trying to rush things, but I want to make sure that I get the whole year done, because this is how I decided that I wanted to do this year. So I got it done. I have 1 month left, so it's pretty good to say that I'm going to get it done, because I only have one month left to do. And usually what I do is, like, on the very last day, I'm printing those photos and I'm getting ready to do my spreads because I really want to get it done. And that's it. That's going to be it for November. So we have 1 month left and my mini album would be complete. And don't forget, I have all my classes at 50% off right now. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.